So Carolyn's been cleaning up the wood pile, just kind of getting everything split into smaller pieces. This is a project she's been working on. She sits over here for a little bit and just makes everything into smaller pieces. Now, I've explained this before. Somebody's going to comment that, we should have done this with the splitter and all that. When we initially got all this firewood, we sized it to a wood stove that we had down by the camper that we were staying in. We turned into a heat exchanger. It was an old Franklin wood stove. So we sized all the wood to that. Well, when we got in a tiny house, that was just too much firewood. So when we have pieces like this, that worked great in the Franklin, but now we need pieces like that. Huge difference. And the tiny house just doesn't take a lot of firewood, so you put 3 or 4 pieces of those little ones in there, it gets up to 80 degrees. It's just insanely hot. So she's been kind of cleaning this area up. Now all that stuff over there should be dry. That was actually our second batch. This was the first batch here, but we learned a lot over here. That a lot of this stuff, like this one here, we didn't split. It fit in the Franklin, so we didn't need to split it. But then when we got this new EPA wood stove, we realized, first of all, the wood stove says don't use firewood that's not been split. It's got to be split at least once, or it won't burn correctly. But it also retains moisture. The bark does. So they just never dried very well. I mean, it started, I would imagine by next year they'll be dry. But Carolyn's splitting these up so we don't even have to worry about it. Now, you saw that it is kind of rotting, and we didn't realize that either, that the bark actually makes it rot faster. Whereas this one, same age, not rotting at all. It's because they're drying. The ones with a split in it dries faster. That 20% moisture content that I talk about all the time. So she's cleaning all this up. By the time all this is used up, I'll be 63. But the thing is I don't want to wait until we're completely out of firewood before we start thinking about getting more. So I've been trying to figure out, do I want to start cutting firewood this year? And I talked to Carolyn, and she said, let's wait one more year. She'd like to get this cleaned up first so we have someplace to put it. Like this down here, we can put it here. That side over there, like I said, we learned more by the time we got to that spot. So other than the pile has fallen over, all of this is split, every piece of it. And we actually, a lot of it, we cut even, in half. So it's not even as long as those pieces over there. So all that is dry. Like I said, I got to restack that. So we'll probably pull from this side and what Carolyn has split up. She's been testing every piece that she's restacked. She's got a ton of it on the porch, ton of it in the house, ton of it behind the porch. Plus, we have firewood down here. And I cut a walnut this last spring. It's not dry, but it's getting there. Oh, I need to check on my water. I heard the inverter squealing, so I better come up here and shut off the well pump for a bit and let it catch up. So, really trying to figure out what we need to do for the next, I don't know, I'm thinking if I can get maybe a quarter or so a year. Now, all of this firewood, we got someplace else. We never took anything from this property. It was a lot of work going out to get firewood. You have to load the truck up, unload it, split it. And the thing is, you're always under time constraints. So, the homeowner that you're taking it from wanted it gone now. Come out and get it. And it was on an incline that was impossible to climb. It was terrible. And ended up, they started to help me, the two homeowners. Carolyn couldn't climb up it. And the woman gave up after the first try, the homeowner. He gave up like after the 5th try. So I was down there by myself, one log at a time, walking up this mountain and come up, catch my breath. It took forever. So, there's a tree, there it is. So this tree right here, we've decided we're going to cut down because it's dead. So we'll get rid of that one. I didn't even notice it was dead until Carolyn pointed it out just a little bit ago. There's no leaves on it. So we'll get rid of that one. That looks like it might be a walnut. So, you know, that's a third of a cord of firewood there. 1/3. I'm sure that would fill the back of the pickup. And the way I kind of gauge it is 1 truckload is 1/3 of a cord. So, you know, you get 3 of these, and now you have a cord of wood. So if I could find, I guess, 15 of these, that would replace everything that we've used so far. Now, I also have this stacked down here, which is part of the 15 years. It fell over too. I need to get it stacked. I don't like to restack firewood in the summertime because snakes hide out in here. So you wait until the winter, and the snakes will still hide out in there, but they're a lot slower, so you can get your hand away as soon as you see them. As a matter of fact, they probably won't even strike you in the wintertime if it's cold enough, even if you touched them. So that's the only reason I do that in the winter. I would like to get it off the ground as soon as possible so it's not rotting, but being dead by a snake bite, I wouldn't even need the firewood. If I take these 2 or 3 trees here down, that's another truckload at least. So there's 2/3, that one down there, and I don't know, this one, yeah, I don't think this one would actually fill the truck. So there's a cord. Now all I've got to do is go around and find, you know, that one's pretty big. That would fill the truck. So maybe I'll say, out of what I just showed you, maybe there's a cord of wood here. So now I just got to find 4 more cords, or 12 truckloads. And I think down here there's a couple walnut, and I like to get more walnut. Walnut doesn't burn as hot as oak and hickory, which is what all this primarily is. Now in here she found quite a bit of walnut. Well, I say quite a bit. That's about all she found right here. There's a tree that bows over real bad. I'm pretty sure one of these days it's a walnut, but a storm's gonna knock it over. It's a healthy tree, and I don't want to get rid of it, but you know, we live on an 1.5 acres, and half of the yard is cleared off. We don't have any trees on it. So everything down there, I don't really want to cut down. So trying to be sparingly on what I cut down here. Now there is a tree over here I cut down a couple years ago that I never got out of this briar patch. I mean, that's what it is. It's a briar patch. And it's leaning up against another tree, or at least it was. So it wasn't on the ground. Where is it? Maybe it did fall down. Trash and glass and fence. Can't clean it up. I know there's a tree back here. Huh, I don't know where it's at. That's weird. Maybe it did fall down. I think that's it. See if I can get my microphone cord untwisted from the briars here so I can walk back here a little bit. Last string. Oh, there it is. I see it. It's right there. So I can come back here and get that one, plus the little scraps that we got here. And it's off the ground. It's leaning up against another tree. So we can get several of these out of here. That'd be good. It's just such a nightmare to work back here. You know, with the chainsaw and the briars, it's just dangerous. So I'm going to come down in the woods so we can get an idea of what we can do. Like I said, we need to get a total of 5 cords to replace what we've used, and that's after this winter. Carolyn's suggesting that we wait until next winter. So as I was saying, there's this one tree. This is a walnut here. and a barber chair situation, or armchair, I think it's barber chair is what they call it, where what's going to happen if I try to cut that one, it's going to split and a piece of it's going to come up and hit you in the face. So what you got to do is you wedge it and then you cut into the side of it. You don't come in from the edge, you go straight through. And then when you have that done, you pop the saw out, and that should lower that one down. So we'll get that one out of there. Plus we'll have the stump, which is a bit of wood. I don't even think that's a third of a cord. And it just never recovered. This used to be a sister twin, so I cut off one of them. It just never recovered. And I thought there was another one down here, but I guess not. I thought it was a hickory that was a sister. And there's my chair that I cut. What it was is I ran out of gas trying to get that stump down, and I just never came back to get it. And see, here's another one. I mean, such a beautiful tree. I'd hate to cut it, but I really should cut this one down because it's the leaner, and it would eventually overtake this other one. You know, they kill each other. So that might be one, and that one's a huge one. So that would definitely be easy. Maybe even 2 truckloads. Of course, I could go back over on this other guy's property because he lets me have deadfall. Now I got to be careful with the deadfall with this new wood stove, the EPA efficient wood stoves, because you know, you just can't burn it. So if it held anything. Now this one is right on the line, and there's fence on both sides of it. So I'm not entirely sure whose it is, but that's a walnut there. And I know that if I cut it, he wouldn't mind. He wouldn't care. I mean, I would have to ask him, but I bet he'd let me have that one. And then there's a dead one over there. I bet he'd let me have. And then this one's on the line also. Again, the fence is on both sides of it. I bet he'd let me have that. That's probably hickory though. And so that is my thinking. These two here, if he'd let me have those, I don't think he'd dispute it. Then I can, that would probably finish me up. You had to get me close to 4 cords. And well, there's a sister there I could get rid of. I really don't want to take from this property any more than I have to. So if that would take me out to 68 years old, and you know, I could still buy firewood if I had to at that age. The briars around here. So at 68, I could buy it for the next few years. It really isn't that expensive. If I got a cord a year for a few, you know, that's all you need. Let's say it was $250. You know, $250 for heat for a year isn't bad. But I think that is where I want to stop. We got a sister over here also. Maybe I already pointed to that one. We got one over there I could take down. So I got a few. And then now I got the beast. I could just come up here with the beast and bring the logs out, split them when I wanted. You know, I could come up here every day actually, split a wagon full, garden wagon. Take it out of there, stack it up, just one load a day. So if you'll click this up next box, take you to a video over my other channel, working on something. So I hope I can inspire you to have a Sunday so you have a day off when you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.